Well, you got to talk about it. Over the weekend, the game, it was Ohio State versus Michigan, and a crushing blow for Ohio State. They lost to Michigan, despite Michigan being without Coach Jim Harbaugh. My question is, Isaiah, as an Ohio State fan, I saw a lot of people talking over the weekend after the game saying, fire Ryan Day, head coach of Ohio State. What are your thoughts? Are you among them?
I don't think Ryan Day gets fired. I would say it would be pretty improbable for the main fact that this is why there's people that just are saying fire Ryan Day as like an emotional reaction, as you would after you lose a big game, even though we were the underdog on the road in a game that we shouldn't win, but we could have won. But at the same time, people saying that aren't thinking logically, because the person that would fire him would be Gene Smith, the athletic director of Ohio State.
Okay.
If you know anything about Ohio State, you know that Gene Smith, long-tenured athletic director, is retiring this year. So is he going to fire him right before he retires? After he was the one that hired him? He will not. Tell you right now, he will not.
A mess.
Or is the person who is taking over Gene Smith's job, yet again, long-tenured athletic director, the very first thing that you're going to do when you show up, you're going to just shred everything, and you're going to fire Ryan Day.
Yeah.
And then guess what happens if Ohio State comes in next year with your new head coach? Get rid of Ryan Day. This is your whole thing.
Yep.
If we lose 2 games next year, you're fired. You're done.
Yeah, you look pretty bad.
You look pretty terrible. And so people are saying fire Ryan Day. However you feel about it, people say you have to win that game no matter what. It's the only game that matters. It's an emotional reaction. I'm just telling you, it's not going to happen.
So what do you say to the people? Forget about all the politics, the workplace politics of it. If you're Ryan Day, coach of Ohio State, you've lost 3 straight games to Michigan. You're 1-6 now versus top 5 teams. What do you say to the people that are calling for you to be fired?
I mean, it's tough. Yet again, if it's not Ohio State, nobody would be calling for him to be fired. I mean, he's 56-7 overall, or 56-8, whatever it is. He loses 1 game a year, but at the end of the day, every year we've been right there. I mean, there hasn't been a year. What everybody's been calling for Urban Meyer throughout this time, like, oh, remember when Urban was here? But when you think about it, would you? Everyone's gonna say they don't want to lose to Michigan no matter what. But the thing about Ryan Day is, and if you look across the top 10, and I was talking about this off the air, but all these other teams have struggled with bad teams. If you watch college football this weekend, you watch Washington go down to the wire against a 500 team. Florida State do the same thing. Alabama do the same thing. The thing that Ryan Day hasn't done is we have not lost to a bad team the entire time he's been here. Urban lost to unranked Purdue. He lost to unranked Iowa. And we didn't just lose in those games. We got embarrassed by 40 against teams that were unranked at 500. That's embarrassing. Us losing to Michigan on the road, yet again, we were the underdog in the big house. The last game of the year, they've been the entire season a favorite over us. Us losing that game stinks, and I hate it. And I hate losing to Michigan, but it's not embarrassing. Us losing to Iowa unranked, embarrassing. Purdue unranked, embarrassing. Ryan Day, if you can show me a win or a loss in his entire tenure that is embarrassing against an unranked team, that's one thing. Losing to a good Michigan team, I mean, Michigan's been on the roll the last 3 years. They've been on a roll. What can we say? It's not like they haven't been good.
Yeah.
He's lost to a good team every year. And so at the end of the day, I mean, you're not going to win every single game, even though that's the expectation of Ohio State. It's just not going to go that way.
That's a pretty good defense.
You would think so.
Yeah.
But people, yet again, if you lose, and I understand, I don't want to lose to Michigan. I would rather lose any other game than Michigan. I would rather lose to an unranked team, which stinks. But Ryan Day has not slipped up in a game that we should win by a mile. The only games he's lost are games that we've probably been an underdog in every single time.
Yeah. I was prepared to also come in here and defend him because I want him to stay so they keep listening to Michigan. But that said, if I was him, I'd be like, we're 11-1 every year. What do you want? What do you want from me?
And people say
I would start gaslighting people, be like, You're the one that cares so much about the Michigan game. I just want to win. I don't care who it's against.
And people say, too, they'll say, this is Ohio State. What we could just get someone better. But you look every single year, there's someone who gets hired that's supposed to be better, like Jimbo Fisher, like Chip Kelly. Look at these schools that are hiring these big names, and they go and they stink. And Ohio State, yet again, is completely ridiculous. From Jim Tressel, Urban Meyer, Ryan Day, doesn't happen anywhere else except for here. If you think we can just go buy someone else, why would anyone want to even coach here? We lose one game a year and you're on the hot seat. Why would you take this job? I would not take this job. No matter how glorious it is, you might win a college football playoff national championship one in every 8 years because that's how it works in college football. If you lose one game a year, you're completely done for.
And
why would you want this job?
You think, too, as far as keeping Ryan Day is concerned, everything could just flip next year anyways, because who knows what Michigan will be like. Michigan might still, maybe it's Sherrone Moore, who obviously did a great job. Maybe Jim Harbaugh, for some reason, stays, or maybe the program is in shambles next year, and Ohio State could be right back to their dominance. So
we lose to them last year, and guess what? We were a field goal away, a missed field goal away in the college football playoff from crushing TCU 64-7 like Georgia did. If we make that field goal and win the national championship, what do you say today? You say we just won the Natty last year.
Wasn't that a great Riot clip? While you're here, you should watch more of our videos and subscribe so you don't miss what we do next.